Rising sea levels is one of the many consequences of climate change. Global warming has resulted in a steep rise in global temperatures within the last couple of centuries, weakening the ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica and its surrounding regions. When ice begins to melt and break away from these frozen formations, they displace a volume of water that matches their own and therefore contribute to rising sea levels. Even a rise as subtle as a handful of centimeters can have a serious impact upon the planet and its inhabitants. With these considerations in mind, we'll be exploring what will happen to the Earth if sea levels rose by 10 centimeters. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're passionate about being informed on relevant and topical issues facing today's world. At the moment, approximately 90% of the planet's ice and more than 70% of its freshwater reserves are secured in the ice sheets and glaciers of Antarctica. This is a huge volume of water, and in a strictly hypothetical scenario, sea levels would rise by hundreds of feet if all this ice were to melt and be deposited into the ocean spontaneously. As devastating and terrifying such a proposition is, the reality is that such an event is never going to happen barring a catastrophe on global proportions, in the foreseeable future at least. A significantly more realistic scenario would be a rise of sea levels by several centimeters, and this is one that is already unfolding. Geographically speaking, sea levels are rising at an artificially inflated rate, which is as unsustainable as it is dangerous. Coastlines and their coastal communities and ecosystems will be particularly affected by even a modest increase in water levels, of which the impact would be devastating. There is no doubt that a rise in sea levels will make high water level events such as flooding and storm surges considerably more frequent and severe, meaning that populations residing within coastal cities will become increasingly vulnerable. Studies have implied that even wave-exposed cities such as Mumbai, Abidjan and Grande Victoria will be significantly affected by a rise in sea levels as small as 5 centimeters. A rise of less than 10 centimeters doubles the flooding potential in coastal regions along the Indian Ocean, the tropical Pacific, as well as the South Atlantic. What's more, a rise in sea levels of approximately 10 centimeters also doubles the risk of flooding in high latitude areas such as the North American West Coast and the European Atlantic coast. With regard to the former, the cities of San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles and Vancouver would be threatened by more frequent and severe floods and surges. It's somewhat concerning that we're already beginning to experience the impact of rising sea levels. Numerous populations inhabiting low-lying coastal areas are already being forced to migrate to higher ground, with millions more unable to leave and therefore at risk. Even basic services such as internet access could be seriously disrupted, considering that significant portions of the globe's underlying communications infrastructures are located in areas that are at risk of submersion or flooding. With slightly higher sea levels, the risks associated with weather events such as hurricanes and typhoons will definitely increase. Rising sea levels are already beginning to coincide with more dangerous storms that move much more slowly and release much more rain, resulting in incredibly powerful and potentially lethal storm surges that threaten to destroy everything in their path. Coastal habitats will be among the first ecosystems to be threatened by rising sea levels to devastating effect, including but not limited to wetland flooding, destructive erosion, soil degradation, water contamination, as well as loss of habitat for birds, fish and plants. A scenario in which every glacier and ice sheet on the planet would succumb to global warming simultaneously is unlikely and would most probably take several centuries to actually happen. According to current sea level change projections, however, it is estimated that oceans could rise between 25 and 77 centimeters, or 10 and 30 inches by the year 2100. If we are to stay on this trajectory and continue to burn fossil fuels and emit greenhouse gases indiscriminately, then we are likely to face serious repercussions as sea levels rise correspondingly. By implementing measures directed towards slowing down and perhaps even reversing the consequences of global warming, however, then we have a much better chance of influencing how quickly sea levels end up rising, as well as by how much. We hope that you found this exploration enlightening, and if you would like to see more informative and educational content, then please like, share and subscribe to this channel.